Hello, my name is Ace Arcana, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to my channel. As a lot of you know, I'm a huge fan of the doll line Monster High, and I have been a fan of it since it came out when I was a kid. I love Monster High in every single generation, and yes, that includes Generation 2. I think it's very underrated and overhated, but that's just my opinion. I love Monster High so much to the point where I thought about making my own generation. I don't know if I'll share any of the scripts I write publicly, but I do want to share the designs I'm making with you guys. In every generation, one of the main casts is, one of the characters from the main cast is the main character. Like G1, we have Frankie as our main character, G2 is Draculaura, and G3 is Claudine. But I decided that it's Lagoona's turn to shine, and I'm totally not being biased or anything, and she's totally not my favorite character or anything, haha. I love Lagoona. So starting out with the sketch, I actually took a pose from Pinterest because I'm really bad with anatomy, especially for humanoid characters, and I just kind of traced over that for the pose. Mainly just the key points of the pose. I feel guilty always tracing over the entire pose, even if it's of a real person and not a sketch. I just feel like a criminal, even though it's not, because I'm learning and that's how you learn, but that's how I feel and I'm sorry. I picked this specific pose for Lagoona because I imagine she's very confident in her abilities. She loves to help out with stuff around the school, or especially with her friends, and she has a bit of a hero dynamic. And she definitely lets it show, but sometimes she can let that get the better of her, which can result in some conflict, but nothing that she can't handle, especially with the help of her friends who are there to support her and help her through all the stuff she's going through. Because she prides herself on helping people a lot, it can result in her wearing herself out very easily, and she's not really one to prioritize self-care, so her friends are always there to remind her to do that. Also, with this design, I wanted to give her a tail, so I decided to give her an axolotl tail. Doesn't it look fucking adorable? I love it. I do not care if it's extra. I think it's fun. I also gave her this long braid to show that she's still, kind of sporty, but also I really wanted her hair to be really long, so I put it in this nice braid so it's out of the way while she swims and does other stuff. But it's still nice, long, and pretty, and I like long hair on dolls. I'm crazy. I also wanted the braid because I wanted her to have this kind of flowy look, especially in her silhouette. So I also added this cute, flowy little cover-up over her swimsuit, and yes, the mesh part is the same part as the top and the shorts. That's all one swimsuit. I know it's a little weird, but I think it turned out really cool personally. It looks a lot better in the final design compared to the sketch because I get rid of it being fishnet later and I turned it into a mesh part that's see-through. The only thing fishnet of her design later is the cropped hoodie. And of course I kept her webbed fingers because that's a part of Lagoona that I actually miss from Generation 2 and Generation 1. I don't think anybody realizes, but her G3 dolls do not have webbed fingers, and I miss the hell out of those, so I added those back. She does have them in the G3 Nickelodeon show, but they're not on her dolls, and it actually really bugs me. Also, I kept Lagoona Honduran in G3. Now, I know people are going to complain that she's no longer Australian, and I completely get that if you actually care about Australian representation, because a lot of these people don't, and they're just being racist towards Lagoona for the sake of being racist, and oh, it's not like G1, so I don't like it. People like that. But there are people who actually care about the Australian representation in the cast, and to you guys I say, totally valid. But Honduran representation is also very important too, and I don't think it should be erased, which is why I'm keeping her Honduran in the first place. I'm one of those people that personally think that everybody deserves to be represented, and that includes people from Honduras and people who are Latina. But back to her design, her eyes are actually inspired off this necklace that I found off Pinterest, which I saw after looking at a reference for these really pretty eye contacts. So they kind of look like this gem from a necklace, which I did on purpose. I wanted them to be shiny and pretty and have this really cool, like, luminescent, like, type look to them, so... And as you guys have probably already guessed, because, I mean, this is me we're talking about, the light blue sclera isn't just an artistic choice, that is just the color of her sclera, because I love different colored sclera. That is, like, the coolest thing to me. Also, you've probably already seen me working on this aspect of her design, but I gave her this, like, fishnet hoodie. There's this whole gimmick with Lagoona throughout every generation, is that her main look has a hoodie, and I really like that gimmick, so I kept it going here in my G4 version, and I really like how it turned out. I am pleasantly surprised. I thought I was gonna, like, screw it up, but it actually turned out alright in the end, so I'm happy with it. I feel like the only thing I really hate about this design is the shoes. I've never been good with drawing shoes, but just the way I designed them, they're very fugly, which I find funny, because I based them off some G1 shoes. Okay. To be more specific, they're Dawn of the Dance Lagoona's shoes, and I just find that a little bit funny because the actual shoes are very pretty, and I screwed it up so bad. But, I mean, this is probably going to be a trend in this series of designs, so I'm sorry in advance. Something you might have also noticed in this design is Lagoona doesn't have her arm fins. I kind of traded those out for the tail. I didn't know how to integrate them with the fishnet top, so I just decided to trade it for the tail. Again, I love the tail. I don't want to get rid of the tail. I am willing to make the sacrifice of getting rid of the fins on the arm for the tail. I love the tail so much. And hooray, we're getting into color! Okay, so the thing about her color palette is I did not want to use too many colors. A rule I made for myself, like just for every design ever, not just for this series of designs, is that I can't have too many colors in my color palettes for characters. It just makes the design look way too crowded, and I don't like that. Especially as somebody who struggles with very detailed characters, like for example, like Genshin characters, and even certain Monster High characters, like especially from like G3, like if they have fine details, it's so hard for me to draw. So I'm giving Lagoona enough details to make her not bland, but I'm also making her simple enough for the fact that I'll be able to hopefully draw her again in the future. Again, I suck with certain details. So I kept her color palette black, blue, yellow, and pink, and I barely use yellow in her design aside from her hair. In fact, I only use yellow for her hair. Nowhere else in her design uses yellow, and I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity, but I also just didn't know where else to use yellow. Later, I do actually add pearl accessories to this design. I add them last, but like, I thought about making the pearls yellow, but yellow pearls are kind of ugly. Trust me, I thought about it really hard, and I did not like the look of it in my head, so I did not put it in the drawing. Here I'm adding blue trim to her cover-up, which when I was drawing that, it kind of reminded me of Miku, so I had Miku on the brain. I also added this Hiccups flower to Lagoona's design. I struggled with it at first. I am not good at drawing flowers. Add that to the list of a lot of things that I'm not good at drawing, but it turned out okay. I don't have much else to say right now about this design, so enjoy the music until I get back to talking. Alright, and we're back to commentary. So I didn't really know what to do with her makeup, so I kind of just made it up as I went. But honestly, I think it turned out okay. It's a little bit boring. I did give her black lipstick. I put pink on her lids, and on her upper lid I put the blue. I also brushed a little bit of pink under her eyes, and this isn't really makeup, but it kind of looks like makeup. I put her scales like she has in G3, but I also put them on her cheeks just to make her look more like a sea monster. And here's me tackling the shoes. I do not like how these shoes turned out. I've already said that, but I'm just really disappointed in myself. I also introduced purple into the design for a little bit, just so I could make a gradient that makes it like half decent. And I feel like I could have come up with something better for the shoes. Anyways, I gave her a bit more lashes before I finished it up, and then realized, wow, she still feels very empty. I need to add something on her head, hence the barrettes I talked about earlier. And even the barrettes didn't fill the random void I felt when I looked at her, and I was like, there has to be something that can just finish off this look. And that's when I realized, even though I had been avoiding it, I really didn't want to add another color into this color palette, because again, I'm really strict on my color palettes, but I caved and I added pearls, which added white to the color palette. And this is my Gen 4 Lagoona. I really hope you guys like her. She obviously needs some improvements, but please tell me what you think she needs in the comments, and maybe I'll add them to the final design. This is just what I have right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to support me financially / commission me, my Ko-Fi is linked in the description and on my straw page. I have a membership called Rosebuds, where $5 a month you can get your name shouted out at the end of every video, and you also get high quality versions of the art that you see in my thumbnails. I also plan on posting video sneak peeks for my members on Ko-Fi, so that's even more motivation to subscribe to my Ko-Fi, plus it helps me a bunch. Speaking of helping me a bunch, I have a GoFundMe open because I'm actually really struggling with medical bills right now. If you could help out, that would be wonderful, but if you can't donate, just sharing it around would help a lot too. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next part of this series and in whatever my next video is. Goodbye! Also, to quickly address the elephant in the room, this new character I'm using, their name is Sleepy Rose. They were designed by Hahari and drawn by Hahari on VGen. Definitely recommend commissioning them. Great artist. I love them. They were very nice and awesome to work with. I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know some people are probably going to be wondering about it.